Please enjoy this feature presentation of the Crooked River Radio Network. This program may contain adult content and is intended for mature audiences only.
Welcome to Under Lock and Key with Steffanie Kirkora. And now here's your host, Steffanie Raquel. Good evening.
Good evening. How are we doing?
Not too bad.
Loving that weather?
Oh yeah, it's warm.
Right. I'm definitely loving it. I got a convertible now, so I'm like, I can't even keep the top up.
Oh, a convertible.
Right.
Little Steffanie and a convertible. Let me think about that. Should I wipe the drool off my chest? Never mind.
I gotta tell you that. I go to the raindrops. I'm gonna run the freaking motor out of the darn thing going over more than I am the car, but oh well.
Yeah.
It's not too expensive to replace.
It's gonna be nice the rest of the week.
I hope so.
We're supposed to be in the almost 90s.
90s is so nice when you're going 35, 50 down the freaking road.
Yep.
So tonight we're gonna talk about the deep web, the dark web. They are two different things. I'm also gonna touch on red rooms, whether or not we know that they exist, but I'm going to give some good evidence for the fact that they could exist, and I actually think that they do exist. And I'm also going to touch a little bit on crying rooms. So I'm going to go ahead and start off with the deep web, tell you a little bit about what that's about. So it's bigger than anyone can imagine. It's hidden in the dark side of the internet, whose contents are not indexed by any standard search engines like Google or Yahoo or Bing. So according to reports, only 4% of the web is visible to the public. That means when you put in a search for dogs and you get 12 million sites back to you, that's still only 4% of the web. Can you imagine what that other 96% is? So it is like the iceberg where you can only see a few portions of it and the rest are hidden underneath, which is a great way to put it. So the visible web is called the surface web. And the hidden web is called the deep web. Now, believe it or not, this actually is going to come from your military. The military is the one who started the internet, period. That's why you have the dark web, is because that's where they keep stuff, like secrets and like your credit card information and bank information would be down in there. Because when you put it over line, it's got to go somewhere. So the dark web is only a part of the deep web, and it is not crawled by any search engine spiders. So you cannot simply access this deep dark web from a normal web browser, but it is possible by using a deep web browser, an anonymity tool like Tor, T-O-R, I2P, or Freenet. The dark web is much smaller than the deep web and is made up of all different kinds of websites that sell drugs, weapons, and even hire assassins. These are hidden networks avoiding their presence on the surface web, and its URLs are tailed up with .onion. These .onion domains are not indexed by regular search engines, so you can only access dark web with special software called the Onion browser, referred to as Tor. And if you really, really want, I know there's an app in the Google store that you can go and get a Tor.
That actually, to me, sounds like torrent. That's what those are.
Yes.
Little compressed files.
Yes, but it's a Tor is the actual name for the thing. But yes, they are. So among these anonymity tools, Tor is one of the best browsers that you can pick to access the dark, deep web links. People use this hidden website for buying drugs and other illegal items from seemingly untraceable. It is also used by people who need to remain anonymous on the web. If you're using the deep web for illegal content, then you may get busted only in the case of lacking security.
That's why you use this IP vanish.
Right.
And if you're going to do stuff with that in particular, you need to have a IP spoofer. That's what those are. It's the IP vanish. There's a bunch of them out there.
Right.
I actually have one on this system.
It's like giving you a fake one, right?
Yeah, it makes a fake one, yeah.
Yeah. So it's not as tough as you think to access, but you can't just access it like a normal web using a normal browser, despite your need to use anonymous software like Tor, which only accesses .onion links. So using Tor browser, you can browse the deep web anonymously, but that doesn't enough. You need extra protection to secure your identity on the invisible web, because it contains dangerous links which may breach the security. So steps to accessing the deep web. To access the deep web, you need to have a Tor browser. First, download it. Well, duh. So after downloading the Tor bundle, you need to install them on your system. Click to open the downloaded file to start the installation process. Follow the installation guide to complete the process. Once you have installed Tor, open it. Now you can access the deep web using Tor browser. I know there's one way you can go to 4chan. That you can reach through Google or Yahoo. And I would say 4chan is probably the 6%. It goes 2% more below Google. Because I've actually looked at that stuff, and that was enough for me.
There's actually, as far as torrents go, there's a thing called BitTorrent.
Yes.
That's probably one of the better ones out there.
Okay. Yeah, so like you were saying, this isn't enough. Your privacy is not completely secured. So to double your security, you must have an advanced VPN service. So here's some tips that they give you. Don't trust anyone out there on the deep web. Cover your webcam. If you try to visit deep web links, then you must be protected by a VPN plus Tor. Before visiting the deep web, ensure that an extension in Tor browser called NoScript is turned on. Enable this option for bid scripts globally. If you want some extra protection, type about config. That's ABOUT space CONFIG in the address bar. Scroll down to the JavaScript _enabled and change the value from true to false. It is possible to track your IP address if you try to access the deep dark website without using our recommended VPN. Don't land in trouble by using a free VPN too. So they suggest that you actually buy it.
$20 a year.
Oh, that's not bad.
That's not.
It's actually probably smart to have one anyways, even if you're not trying to go to the web or the deep dark web. It's just smart to have one.
There's a thing that I use. It's called IP Vanish. That's really pretty good. It's supposed to be one of the best out there, and it's only $20 a year.
That's not bad at all. Actually, you use it every day?
Yep.
Okay. So last but not least, after opening Hidden Wiki, it is strongly recommended that you read an article named How to Exit the Matrix. So to protect yourself from tracking your IP address, I recommend you to run a powerful VPN on your system before you access the web. Some may track your IP address, which we've already talked about. When someone starts to speak about deep web, you might have come across some words like Silk Road, dark markets, Tor browser, Bitcoin, illegal drugs, etc. This is how I actually learned about the Bitcoin. I was reading into the dark web like a couple years ago it was, and I was finding out that Bitcoin was something that they used down their money, currency down in the dark web, because, I mean, you don't want to be tracked through the IP address, you don't want to be tracked through your money either. So they have their own peer-to-peer money system down there. And then it wasn't but a couple weeks after I found out about the Bitcoin that it came out on the mainstream. And I saw it on Facebook first. And I'm like, oh, you got to be kidding me. It was actually quite a scary moment in my life because I know what that Bitcoin was buying on the dark web. So I have a really huge problem with the Bitcoin being on the mainstream because I know what its first purpose was. But my ex-friend will swear by the Bitcoin. And I can't, I refuse to use the Bitcoin because, I know what it's been buying. So here's some deep web search engines for 2020. The www Virtual Library, Deep Web Links Directory 2020, Grams Search Engine, SurfWax, Ice Rocket, Stumpedia, Freebase. Some dark web search engines are Darknet Marketplace, Onion.city, Onion.to, and Not Evil. So why is the deep web not indexable? Well, there are several methods that prevent web pages from being indexed by traditional search engines. I have categorized them for your reference below. So he says, contextual web, pages with context varying for different access contexts. Dynamic content, dynamic pages which are returned in response to a submitted query or accessed only through a form. Limited access content, sites that limit access to their pages in a technical way. These are reasons why you wouldn't get to these pages. Because when somebody makes their page, they can make it where how you word your things is how you're found. Isn't that how?
Yeah, that's your that's usually in the header.
Okay, right. I mean,
And if you put a no follow up there, it's you won't get followed by your search engines, or you can actually turn the search engine options off.
Right, yeah.
You put a little text file in there that tells it to turn off and not follow you.
It's amazing how much control you can actually have over the pages that run across your internet. And even off the web, you can go through and change, like...
As a web designer, that's the first thing to learn is stuff about SEO. And the SEO, if you... there are tricks to that. You can actually get yourself, if you do it right, you can get yourself listed in the top of Google. And if you don't want them in there at all, then you just put this little file in there that tells it not to follow you. It shuts off the search engine, and that's the end of that. You can actually take, and in the same file, you can tell it, don't let Google follow me, but let the other ones go. If you want to cut one or two search engines out, you can do it that way. There's a couple 100,000 things you can do in that little file. And it'll either let you be followed or not.
It's a little scary how much control we actually have. So what does the deep web contain? So mail order marijuana, Silk Road, which I know was busted not too long ago, hitman services, buttery bootlegging, the human experiment, weapons, credit card information, betting on fixed sporting events, the hidden wiki, recent developments. So why do we need to securely browse the deep web? Well, have you ever heard of some of the deep web facts? The deep web is a place where anonymity is the key factor. For one to stay anonymous, you must do these following things. First, you must install the Tor browser. To prevent the theft of your personal data and avoiding data breach, we strongly recommend you to set up a VPN to hide your IP or buy these best VPN directly. Hidden wiki links are the best place to start for the newbies. Get to know how to register and purchase from various darknet markets. In order to purchase from these markets, you need to buy bitcoins from top Bitcoin vendors. I think $1. What was it? I know the Bitcoin's worth way more than our money. I don't remember what the exchange was. But it's literally just a peer-to-peer thing. It's kind of weird how it works. It's very confusing to me, actually. But, I mean, I get the gist of it. So the deep web history, the deep web, deep net, invisible web, hidden web, these are all the same names, are search terms referring to content that is not indexed by standard search engines. We also know only the things shown to us. An example called its surface web. It is about 19 TB. What's that?
19 TB? I don't know.
Yeah, it says called its surface web. It is about 19 TB, which is only a small part of the original World Wide Web.
Probably terabytes.
Okay. The greater part is hidden down by a size of about 7,500 TB. Wow. When you put it in that perspective, that's pretty crazy. Wow. Don't mind my thing. So let's go on. So darknet, as the name goes, there's something hidden on the internet called the deep web. The darknet, which you cannot access from Google. Man, they repeat themselves a lot, don't they? So before you start sailing your boat in the black ocean of darknet, you must be sure of the dangers. Let me see. Okay, I wish I would have known. So darknet and its anonymity markets, if you want to buy high-quality, low-price cocaine, there's only one place to go, and that is the darknet, unknown markets. That's nice. Deep web contains contract killers, the dark web includes contract killers. When they arrested the alleged Silk Road mastermind Ross Ulbricht in San Francisco a year or so ago, there's been a renewed spotlight on the shadowy network of the deep web. The site's accessible only through the encrypted Tor network. Graham's search engine for deep web black markets. So Graham's search engine for deep web black markets. We talk about underground communities, illegal websites, or black markets. They are underground in nature since hidden dark sites that are running off from the search engines under the care of Onion Network. The biggest problem is that we don't know how to reach these deep websites and find a legitimate vendor on this ocean of money sharks. So the deep web's unknown 14 terrible things. Deep web, also called the hidden network and deep net. The deep web is where search engines have not indexed the information, blah, blah. I guess I was supposed to go to the link. Well, So anyway, so in a surface web, the sites are being indexed and can be found later on while searching. But when it comes here, it's not possible to index them. So basically, you're not going to be able to go back to the same site that you were at. Like, it won't keep in your history like the ones from Google and stuff does. Which I know you can also put yourself in incognito when you are, which is probably a smart thing to do when you are on the web. Go to your incognito. That way things aren't following you either. I mean, I guess that's kind of like the VPN thing, right?
Yeah, I would think so.
I guess I could have just read this one article because it's going to... Okay, so the dark web, it's a layer even deeper. It's technically also part of the deep web. But focused on illegal activities and services, it can be pretty gruesome. Some people call it the place where humanity's darkest side surfaces. So let's expand again on what's going to be found there. Marketplace for various drugs, from mild recreational and borderline legal ones like weed to the hard stuff. You're going to get weapons, ammunitions, obviously unregistered. Software needed for deeper browsing like onion browser and listing directories. A few rare books scanned. Lots of blueprints for 3D printing stuff from legal things to illegal things. Some building plans boasting to offer undetected access via secret tunnels to important buildings. WikiLeaks documents, a so-called hidden wiki portal claiming to be the original Wikipedia plus its mirrors. Files claiming to contain nude photos of various celebrities. Websites with videos depicting abuse towards children, animals, war prisoners, etc. Child pornography. Racist content and content promoting violence against various minorities. Recipes on how to cook human meat and video. Marketplace for hiring hitmen. And rumors of so-called red rooms, live video footage of torture and murder. They require Bitcoin fee to enter, but they are also scams. Supposedly they're an urban legend, but I'm going to show you a video that you can get on YouTube, and that to me is the 4% of the web experiencing. So if you can catch this video on the 4%, I don't even want to know what you can see on the 96. I mean... So it was recent, too. It wasn't like it was... I mean, I think he just got shut down maybe a year or two ago. So as you can notice, if you read the list, many of the things for sale on the dark web are shams designed to get your bitcoins without making good on the promise. Of course, if someone's actually looking to buy access to such things, they don't earn a lot of sympathy as victims of the scam. So gotta watch yourself. I mean, you get what you get with that. I don't know. If you're out there buying hitmen and it doesn't come through for you, I don't feel very sorry for you. So, however, the fact that in many cases services advertised are just scams doesn't make the dark web less dangerous or disgusting. So the main marketplace was the Silk Road. Authorities have managed to take it down and arrest its owner, but I do believe that they've put it back up, like somebody else reverberated it back up. So what's the difference between the deep web and the dark web? Well, so it's very inaccurate, as the deep web just refers to non-indexed pages, while the dark web refers to pages which are both non-indexed and involved in illegal niches. The bottom line is this: the deep web might be made up of non-indexed pages simply because search engines fail to see them or because they're not deemed relevant enough to be indexed. In contrast, the dark web wants to be hidden, since it's a hub for shady businesses on purpose. So that's where the deep web would be things that just Google doesn't catch because either somebody didn't correctly put it down for it to be caught, or they just wanted to keep their information private. But then the dark web is even inside of the deep web underneath there, and they want to keep themselves hidden. So the deep web is ethically neutral. It can be used for good or bad, as I was saying. So surface web and shadow web. Another concept you should be familiar with from now on is the surface web, if that's your 4%. Finally, last concept you should know about is the shadow web. This is allegedly a layer of internet even deeper than the dark web. Ooh. The well-known hub for criminal activity. Rumors say that this shadow web is a place where even darker, more serious criminal activity takes place. But the shadow web supposedly is just a rumor. I don't know about that. So if you go browsing the deep or dark web, you may find plenty of advertisements which claim to offer up the gateway to this hidden corner of the web in exchange for bitcoins. It's a well-known scam. So just be careful where you go, what you do. I do know that, like that 4chan, some of the things I saw on there scarred me enough. So I mean, it did. It was. I mean, I will never forget this one. I was on it was a messaging site. Like it was like those rooms, those chat rooms, and this girl, she slit her wrists, like she had slits up and down her wrists, and they were all black and green, and it looked like gangrene was setting in. And she was just commenting to the people that were in the room, "Oh, do you think it's bad? Do you think that looks bad or anything? You know?" And somebody just simply said to her, "Yep, you're about to die." Like, I was like, oh my God. And just the girl really needed some serious help because it was really bad looking. It was just, I'm like, I gotta get out of here. It was creeping me out too bad. So is it illegal to access the deep web or dark web? In short, no. It is not illegal to go browsing on a non-indexed page or to use a high privacy like Tor. But it is illegal to do a lot of the things that they're doing on, like buying the weapons and stuff like that, because they're all going to be weapons that aren't going to have registered numbers or things like that. So you could get in trouble. What is illegal is not just to access and browse overlay networks called the deep web or dark web, but to look into illegal services sold on these networks or to attempt to hack things without permission. Still, you should note that accessing the dark web without plenty of cybersecurity precautions can be dangerous for a layman. And what that also means is they can get into your computer, they can get anything that you have in your computer, your files, your anything that you would have in. If you had any kind of checking stuff in there, savings account stuff in there, your social security number, any of that. That's a way for them to be able to get in. You know, it's almost like you got to think of your back door. It's like a back door and you're going down the steps. And if you don't shut that back door, people can keep coming up. And that's what you got to make sure you always shut your doors when you go through these places, because people can follow you. I mean, it's not like they're like physically following you, but they are physically following you. So, well, the funny fact about this is that the so-called intellectual dark web doesn't have anything in common with cybersecurity issues or non-indexed pages, nothing in common with the actual dark web or deep web. It consists of a bunch of conservative intellectuals who traditionally were the only ones allowed to speak in public, also known as they were the most visible on traditional information dissemination hubs. Mostly they are the WASP, elite, middle-aged, or older, which weighed in as experts on television shows, published editorials, and the biggest newspapers are taught at the biggest universities. Since alternative orientations have started getting their voices heard more about a decade ago, these classic intellectuals are complaining that they are censored. They claim the media is now oriented towards leftist, progressive voices which are all about minorities, political correctness, and decolonization. So basically they just want to do what they want to do, and So funnily enough, they still own those traditional big channels of communication, and there are still plenty of people following the same orientation as them. I won't elaborate on the specifics of social science currents, but you can read more about it if you want in this well-put Vox editorial. That was VOX editorial. So what are the main dangers? Returning to cybersecurity issues, he wants to stress that the dark web is a dangerous place. Again, if you're a non-technical person, you probably shouldn't be going there. Because one of the most often transaction goods on the dark web marketplace is your data. There are tons and tons of gigabytes of leaked credentials and personal information for sale for hackers. That's where hackers get their data for credential stuffing attacks, identity theft, and other shady business.
There are some banks in that actually search the dark web for your information and will let you know that it's there.
That's kind of crazy.
What was it, Discover? One of them was advertising that for a while. So then you didn't even have to pay. They said if you were found on the dark web, if your information was found there, you'd be notified by them. And of course, there'd be a fee to take it off.
Of course, right? That's like when they give you a credit card and they want you to go and secure your credit card, because if it gets hacked, for some reason they don't cover that, which I never understood. So I want to go ahead and play this one video, and it's going to kind of probably touch a little bit on what I've already talked about, but he's going to explain it in a little bit better depth.
Okay, we ready?
Yeah, and name the video is By All Time 10.
Disturbing Discoveries on the dark web.
Yeah, and by who? So we give credit.
I didn't catch that part.
Yeah, I think it's called All Time 10.
Okay. We will be back on the other side of this. You're listening to listening and watching Steffanie Krikora and Under Lock and Key. We'll be right back.
Top 10 disturbing discoveries on the dark web. Number 10. Dark web poison. In 2015, software programmer Muhammad Ali was found guilty of attempting to possess a chemical weapon purchased on the dark web. After watching hit TV series Breaking Bad, Ali was inspired to buy 500 milligrams of ricin powder for $500, enough to kill 1,400 people. Unfortunately for him, the person he was buying from was an undercover FBI agent with whom he negotiated for several months before going ahead with his illegal purchase. Also in 2015, a 16-year-old boy attempted to take his own life after buying the poison Abrin on the dark web, which is 30 times more toxic than ricin. Number 9. Child abuse. More than 80% of internet traffic on the dark web is child abuse material. In 2015, 33-year-old child porn admin Shannon McCool was jailed for 35 years for sexually abusing 7 children as young as 18 months old. The website he ran was used by at least 1,000 pedophiles around the world, who McCool coached on how to commit child abuse. The website required members to share child porn images at least once a month, or they would be kicked out of the group. More than 50,000 images of child pornography were found on McCool's computer when police raided his home in Australia. Number 8. The zombie knife. Metropolitan Police say knife crime is up 18% in London thanks to the dark web. There have been increased sales of a lethal weapon referred to as the zombie knife, which has multiple sharp edges designed to maximize damage. The knife has a 17-inch blade and is advertised online as an apocalypse head decapitator zombie killer sword. There have been no reported deaths from the zombie knife, but police say gangs are now favouring this weapon due to its low cost and threatening image. Other popular sales include the stealth knife card, a small stainless steel knife that can be quickly folded from a credit card to a deadly weapon, which costs only $15. Number 7. The Amazon of drug dealing. Silk Road was the biggest drug-selling website on the dark web, known as the Amazon of drug dealing. The site featured an array of drugs including party packages of cocaine, MDMA, cannabis, and mephedrone. Half a gram of cocaine sold for around $1,313, or 5.44 bitcoins, and each purchase was expertly hidden to pass security checks. In 2015, the founder of the illegal website, Ross Ulbricht, was arrested on 7 charges, including drug trafficking, computer hacking, and money laundering. The site also offered the sale of counterfeit bills, fake passports, driving licenses, and stolen credit card information, which could take around 21 days to arrive. Even the services of hitmen were offered, providing a one-stop shop for all things illegal. Number 6. Assassination Market. On dark website Unfriendly Solutions, hitmen are available for hire for $20,000. A similar site, Hitman Network, offers a team of 3 contract killers for hire, but draws the line at murdering anyone under 16 or major politicians. Alternatively, there's the Assassination Market, a crowdfunding service that lets anyone anonymously contribute bitcoins towards a bounty on the head of any government official. The owner of the site says that he intends to destroy all governments everywhere, by assassinating so many government officials that nobody will ever want to run for office again. Number 5. Bitcoin scams. Bitcoin is the digital currency used on the dark web. 1 Bitcoin is currently equivalent to around $239. Users can buy Bitcoins through a dark web marketplace, but Bitcoin cash machines are now appearing across the world as the currency becomes more common. In 2015, the administrators of a dark web marketplace disappeared with over $12 million worth of Bitcoin in an exit scam against its users. Unsurprisingly, there are around 153 fake sites on the dark web that either take Bitcoins in exchange for no goods or take information and drain accounts of their Bitcoins. Ransomware is also common on the dark web. Once downloaded, it encrypts the files of its victim until they pay a large sum of money, usually Bitcoin. This happened to Massachusetts police in 2013. Number 4. Black Market Reloaded. Black Market Reloaded was one of the biggest gun-selling websites on the dark web. The Silk Road of gun sales was run by 33-year-old tech entrepreneur Adam Bunger, who now faces charges for illegally selling and shipping guns around the world. He was known to sell stolen credit cards, fake IDs, marijuana, mushrooms, and stolen identities, as well as a plethora of guns from sniper rifles to handguns. 19-year-old student Liam Liebird was found guilty of planning mass murder after buying a number of weapons on the dark web. These included guns, bullets, and pipe bombs, and he described the process as like buying a bar of chocolate. The US government believes that ISIS and other potential terrorists use the dark web to recruit fighters, transfer bitcoins, and plan world attacks. Number 3. Crush porn. Crush porn involves sexy women in high heels talking dirty to small animals such as rabbits, puppies, and kittens, before crushing them to death for the sexual gratification of their viewers. There are around 103 crush porn videos on the dark web. For a fee of $400, clients can email the website's admin to choose the animals, the act, and even the model's clothing for them to wear in the video. Videos found by detectives showed women squashing live fish with their high heels, using scissors to cut off the heads of live chickens, and decapitating goats. There were also videos of live rats being stapled to a board. At least 2 women have been prosecuted for performing in these illegal videos. Number 2. Welcome to Hell. In 2015, dark web forum Hell was responsible for the leak of data from dating site Adult Friend Finder. Data included users' names, email addresses, sexual preferences, and fetishes. Hell has since been closed down due to a suspected admin arrest. Also in 2015, 9.7 gigabytes of data from online infidelity dating site Ashley Madison revealed around 32 million users who had signed up to cheat on their partners. At least 2 suicides have been linked to the leak of this private information, including that of Texas Police Chief Michael Gorham. Number 1. Game of Terror. Sad Satan, considered to be the scariest video game ever, was posted on the dark web with no explanation as to who made it or what it's for. The game forces players to walk through a constantly changing maze of lights and shadows, as they occasionally come across static images and horrific sounds of children screaming. The music and images in the game have led players to believe that it was created to showcase the horrors of child abuse, due to the feature of notorious paedophile Jimmy Savile, who abused 63 people at Stoke Mandeville Hospital during his career. While gamers such as PewDiePie have suggested that the game is just a publicity stunt for a gaming company, other players have suggested that Sad Satan is more of a snuff movie than a game, featuring real child porn.
Check out 10 Creepiest websites if you enjoyed this video. It's playing on screen now. Some pretty dark shit in that video. And if you enjoyed us as a channel, make sure you hit that big red subscribe button. And until next time, guys, thank you so much for all your support. Laters.
We're back.
Okay, so allegedly red rooms are some of the most horrific places on the deep web. Red rooms cross the line into some seriously dark and depraved stuff. In Red Room, you could supposedly view a live stream of someone being tortured and murdered, if you've ever seen the movie Hostel. And some say that the audience can even participate by exchanging bitcoins for particular acts of horrific violence. These 2 things distinguish a true Red Room from a typical snuff film. A snuff film is when somebody dies in it. It's pornography and somebody dies. But are Red Rooms real? Well, I'm going to show you a video that if you can get this on YouTube, these red rooms have to be real. So this Peter Gerard Scully is on trial for doing horrible things. He's a reason that people believe the red rooms exist. Scully is on trial in the Philippines. He's been accused of many flat-out terrible things, including child pornography, kidnapping, human trafficking, rape, and the murder of a 12-year-old girl whose remains were discovered at one of his former residences. However, among Scully's alleged exploits is a film titled Daisy's Destruction. This is just one of the many videos that Scully is said to have uploaded to the dark web. The contents of the video and charges placed against Scully are supposedly so awful that the Philippines has actually considered bringing back the death penalty specifically for this case. Wow. Wow. Tor allegedly, these are reasons why it possibly they can't exist. That Tor, the Tor browser thing that we were talking about, allegedly can't stream live video. So this is like, again, an argument against Red Rooms not existing, because Tor is too slow, so it won't be able to stream live. But Tor really is just simply a way to browse the deep web. It doesn't mean, however, that it would be technically impossible to actually operate these Red Rooms using Tor. So a different distribution mechanism would be needed. This is why some people claim that if the Red Rooms do exist, they would not actually be found on the deep web at all. Instead, they would be hidden in heavily restricted and secure areas of the surface web. According to IT experts that frequent the deep web, if a Red Room were to exist, it would be heavily guarded and only a select few people would be even able to view them. Certainly, there are plenty of alleged Red Room scams on the deep web. But even to scam it or to pretend, to me, is basically just doing it. Anyone performing an illegal activity in one of these rooms is going to have a hard time advertising without making the authorities aware of their dealings. Likewise, anyone seeking illegal activity is going to be wary of spending massive amounts of money on a product they cannot verify. Long story short, you really have to try if you want to find one. And as you were hearing about the Animal Crush or the Crush porn, well, Animal Crush sites exist. One such site on the deep web called Cruel Onion was even shut down by the FBI. These sites feature the sexualized killing of the small animals, and people were putting in requests for things to happen. In 2016, Brent Justice was convicted for making these videos and was sentenced to 50 years in prison. His accomplice, Ashley Nicole Richards, pled guilty and received a reduced sentence. They were the first to be convicted of this type of crime under the U.S. Animal Crush Video Prohibition Act of 2010. It's disgusting that we have to have something like that. That we even have to have a prohibition act like that is just amazing to me. People have live streamed murder and were obviously caught. Some people have actually been dumb or crazy enough to stream murders live. You wouldn't exactly call it a red room, but rather a place where criminals willingly make their crimes a matter of public record. It does prove, though, that the technology for red room theoretically exists. Well, how about this one? I'm going to show you some real good evidence. And this is a MCKAMEY Manor. And the guy, he proclaims it to be more of a haunted house, like a realistic kind of haunted house, live out your haunted horror movie type of fantasy. But to me, it's just a torture site. And so I guess I really have to explain to you that because you can watch the video, that it's very graphic.
Yes, it's very graphic.
But the thing is, unfortunately, it's graphic, but it happens, and people are signing up for this, and it's legal what he's doing, basically. And he's an ex-military.
This is not for children.
I mean, and he's ex-military. A lot of this, just like the web, all ex-military. So we're going to go ahead and...
Which one?
The MCKAMEY Manor, the 5-minute one. Yeah.
The promo? All
yeah.
Right.
I warn you.
Yeah, you'd be warned. This is something else. This is Under Lock and Key with Steffanie Krikora, and we'll be back on the other side.
Brady McDonald, LA Times. As you can see, I'm bloody, soaking wet, and terrified.
I'm the pony is to ride. You better listen! Walk like a fish! Swim! Ah! Faster! Help! Hey! 1, 2, 3, 1!
Don't, please don't, please don't.
Why did you come here? You're all gonna die! Oh my God, it's wrong! Get me down! I can't see anything! Get me down!
It's really intense, and I don't think anyone knows what they're in for if they go here.
So tell me, would you do it?
No, flipping.
Supposedly you win like $20,000 if you can survive the whole time.
No way.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
Right. It's just a legal torturing way, and I don't know if this is the video where it showed the. Or maybe I didn't give you that video, but it literally he has videos where he's a family man, and basically in the back of his house he's running this. So if you can do something like this, you can't tell me that red rooms don't exist where you can actually, like the hostels, they don't make movies off of nothing.
There has been, back in the day, back even when I was growing up, you've had bondage and discipline places like that. This is just kind of I see that of a little bit of an extension of that. Some people really get into that stuff. I'm not one of them. I'd never be one of them. But you know, that's for some people it's a way of life. There's B&D meetings all over the place. There's people that have dungeons in their basements and everything else.
I can understand that. And
hell, there used to be one place that was out there in Kent that had it was a huge place, and there used to be meetings out there every month. I can remember hearing about that all the time. That would have probably been early to late 80s.
It's because we have pain and pleasures on the same line in your brain.
Exactly.
And that's why it's so.
And that, as one that's probably, without giving too much away, probably has experienced some of that in my younger days. I'm not saying a word. Not with this one, boy. But back in the day, maybe.
So we're going to go ahead and touch
I was a kind of a wild guy.
I would never have guessed that, I got to tell you. I would not have guessed that. Oh, I'm still going to have to interview you one day.
It's all... Well, I'm thinking about that.
So I wanted to play at least a little bit of the other one, because this one, that was a promo. This one's going to be more of an actual live bit. You'll see how they actually interact with the people. And this girl goes for a second time.
Okay. We'll be back on the other side. This is Under Lock and Key with Steffanie Carcora. We'll be right back.
I just like to entertain folks. I'm just Russ.
Get those hands up. Why are you crying? Why are you crying? It's all over for you, okay? Come here, Brindley. Come here, old man.
Russ is just a good guy. You know, I'm not what you think.
Get him up.
Have I told you numerous times that you don't want to take this tour?
I'm done with the laughing.
Right? Do you understand that? Hold on a second. So McKamey Manor is actually a survival horror boot camp experience. As of last year, there were over 27,000 on the combined waiting list. For me, it's about making that special Kodak moment. I am always thinking of it as a cinematic experience because I'm trying to get the shot I want, the angle I want.
There's 2,500 comments on this one here. They are just asking to have someone die or have a heart attack. What happens if someone dies during their tour? A waiver won't mean anything. We have had one heart attack, for real. 7 years ago, we had a heart attack. That was good stuff.
You just keep on asking those folks, do you want to quit? And what do they always say? Nope. So it's a different crowd. You got to kind of love them.
Hurry up!
I'm going. Take the key.
Jeez! Hurry up! Go! Get down there! Go! Hurry up! So this is the moment you've been waiting for. So say hello to all your fans out there.
Hello.
Because I'm telling you right now that most likely she's going to look completely different by the time we're done with her. How long did you last time? How long?
I went in.
Cool.
Then I got...
Yeah, how long did you last before we had to just take you out?
I don't know. I did the short tour.
You understand me? Say it loud. Tell me you understand what I'm telling you.
No!
Yes, what? Tell me what I just told you, Christina.
I live in Kuwait. So for myself to travel from Kuwait just to come to McKamey Manor, it's approximately a 19-hour flight. My motivation for doing a second time is to see if I can push myself even further than when I went the first time. Big mistake, probably.
Change locations right now. Follow me.
Wait till I get it. Oh, God. Right? Yeah, I'm all right. We're going to sign some waivers.
Get in front. Come on, let's go. I'm going to hand you 3 forms. One form each. Take this. Don't get it wet.
It is extremely physical, and the participants may very well leave McKamey Manor with bumps, bruises, cuts, or other possible injuries, including possible broken bones.
The participant may very well leave McKamey Manor with unintentional emotional distress and psychological issues. The participant understands that it is never the intent of MM to cause myself and any type of psychological damage.
So when you're begging and screaming for mercy and you want out of McKamey Manor, what do I do?
You're not going to let me go.
No. Why are you doing this? That's my question. Why would you do this after everything is happening? Why would you sign this waiver? Christina, why would you do this?
I don't know. Probably to push my body further than when it went the first time.
Is this a good idea?
Probably not.
Fill that out. Get Spencer in there quietly.
Shut up.
Get her up.
Get her up. Stand her up. Close that door. Throw her in. Get her in there. Come in this side, Rachel. Watch out for her neck.
God, no, you're not going to do that.
Stop complaining, Christina. Get in there.
What do you guys think of McKamey Manor?
Torture. Scary.
Why do you think they do it?
I don't know. but we see our dad watching videos on YouTube of it.
Why do you think your dad likes it?
Because he likes to be tortured. And he likes being tortured. Robert. Send father over.
Torture is taking somebody's nail off or waterboarding them or whatever. I would never do it. Don't get me wrong, you would never see me do this kind of hunt because I have fears that are back there. You know, I built it around what scares me.
At that time, I was like, this is the dumbest thing I've ever done.
Yeah. And I was just like, why did you make me do this, Ryan?
Because your mind starts playing tricks on you. I remember thinking, like, I really don't even know these people. Like, this is some guy I met on the internet. Like, what if he's legitimately going to kill me? Yeah, they didn't let us stop. There's no safe word. I was literally yelling safe word.
They were not
stopping. Yeah, they didn't care.
What's this language?
I'm sorry.
Hold it in! I'm tired of you throwing up in my room. You understand? Get your arms up higher!
We've been to every show since we went through.
How do you know to draw the line?
I don't have a line. If they say they can't go and they can't stand up, I drag them.
Put her in the hot tub. Let's go. Let's get her in there. Get her in here. Hey, Christina! Give her a round of applause. Woo! Sit up.
You are a psychopath for coming here twice.
You're a crazy girl, man.
You realize that, right?
Can we get some scissors?
Yes.
Those knees, huh? Those knees and all the cuts and bruises.
I will say, you are a tough chick.
Yeah, she is, man, right? Are you glad that did we actually hold you against your will? Or are you glad that we continued on?
I'm glad that you pushed me to go further.
Okay.
Even though there's times I know I wanted to quit so bad.
Good job, guys. Give a round of applause. Give them all a round of applause. Yeah.
Oh, she's not happy now that she's looking at her hair, though.
I just want to do something special that people are going to remember fondly when I'm dead and gone. You know, either hate it or love it, and that's kind of cool.
Flashback come anytime, you know. So must you make.
Okay. So he had a 70,000 waiting list for people wanting to go to this thing. And the weird thing is he doesn't charge anything for it. All he asks for is a bag of dog food for these greyhounds that he rescues.
Wow. Ain't no way.
Right. So it's really just a perversive, creepy, someone wanting to torture legally. But my problem is, people, why the hell are you doing it? I don't know who's sicker, him or the people that are going. So anyways, I at least want to close up with this. This is something I wanted to touch on. There's not a lot of information out there, so I could never do an hour on it. But this is something that's always bothered me since I found out about it when I was in college quite a few years ago, when we had to do we had to always put like a paragraph up for the week, and it had to be on something in the history of some sort. It was our participation for group class, and I remember doing my little insert that week was about dying rooms or crying rooms, and they're Chinese orphanages. And so I got a video on that, and it's just so sad. It's I can't even believe that we actually have this going on in the world.
Yeah, this is another one that's a little graphic, isn't it?
Yes.
The warning is still there. The material is graphic that you're about to see.
But it's the truth too, so.
I gotta shut those damn I tried shutting those notifications off a little bit ago, and it didn't work. I'm gonna have to look that up. Anyway, we'll be back on the other side of this to wrap things up. You're listening to Steffanie Krikora and watching her too. And this is Under Lock and Key.
Very sad. It's so inhuman that I can't believe. if it is a boy, they will try their best to save him. But because she is the girl, so she is left to die.
We asked her name and were told Mei Ming. This means no name.
Use whatever means you must to control China's population. Just do it. If they allowed their little girl to live, they wouldn't have a chance to have a little boy.
Toddlers tied to bamboo seats, with their legs splayed over makeshift potties. There 400 little girls were dumped here, yet when we looked round, we could see no more than a dozen.
And they say, they're just gone. And I say, what do you mean gone? They died. That's it.
It wasn't so much that she didn't care for them as human beings. It was as if she didn't think of them as human beings.
Spend all your time waiting for that second chance, for a break that will make it okay. There's always one reason to feel not good, and it's hard at the end of the day. I need some distraction. Oh, beautiful release. Memory seeps from my face. Let me be empty. Oh, weightless and maybe.
The Chinese government refuses to admit that there are abuses in its state-run orphanages or in the one-child policy as a whole because they're afraid of losing face.
Fly away from here, from this dark, cold hotel room, and the endlessness that you fear. You were pulled from the wreckage of your silent reverie. You're in the arms of the angel. May you find some comfort. So tired of the straight line, and everywhere you turn, there's vultures and thieves at your back. The storm keeps on twisting. You keep on building the lies that you make up for all that you lack. It don't make no difference. Escaping one last time. It's easy
just so sad.
Yep.
I cried back then just as much as I cry today every time just to know that they are not worth anything but to tie them to a high chair and just leave them to die like that because they're a girl and because they're one. It's absolutely disgusting. Another paragraph that I put on for that week having to do with children is I've given up chocolate because chocolate is the #1 child slavery. Every single chocolate bar you eat, every single chocolate that you eat, I say 97% of it comes from child slavery. You may not see it, just like you don't see these dying rooms, but it's happening, and we need to be aware of it, and we're the ones who keep it going, so we need to stand up and start being accountable for our actions and what's going on around us. So, I think we can go ahead and end this, because I look like a blubbering fool right now, and...
All right. We will be back next week. I hope you all enjoyed.
Yes, we should have an interview next week.
Oh, cool.
Yes,
Interview.
Excited.
That should be pretty cool.
Yes.
If you want to tune in to us, or if you missed most or part of this show, please find us on Spreaker. We're under Crooked River Media there. You can also probably rewatch us on Facebook if you need to. And thank you all for tuning in and watching this evening. We will be back next week. And you want to wrap it up, Steph?
Yeah. Have a good night and grab a box of tissues if you do watch this.
Have a good evening. See you next week. Under Lock and Key has been a Crooked River Media production.